Hello. So, in the previous discussion, tapos na tayo dun sa introduction on monosaccharides as well as its structure and yung Fisher and the Haworth projections and also the nomenclature for monosaccharides. So, the next now would be the monosaccharide derivatives or the reactions in which these monosaccharides could undergo. So, there are actually five important reactions for monosaccharides. They are the oxidation to acidic sugars, reduction to sugar alcohols, and then glycoside formation, phosphate ester formation, and yung amino sugar formation. So, in considering these reactions, we will use glucose as the monosaccharide reactant. So, yun yung parang pinaka-basis natin para mapag-differentiate natin kung ano yung mga different products ng mga reactions na to. So, although glucose yung gagamitin nating example, take note pa din na other aldoses as well as ketoses would also undergo these kinds of similar reactions. Glucose lang yung gagamitin nating example. So, the first one is the oxidation to produce acidic sugars. Yung redox chemistry of monosaccharides is closely linked to that of the alcohol and the aldehyde functional groups. I believe I've already discussed this one doon sa may enzymes, yung mga major classes of enzymes, specifically yung oxidoreductase, di ba? That is the enzyme that catalyzes the oxidation reactions. And remember, yung oxidation, baka pag oxidation, wait lang, mali. So, kapag oxidation, yung reaction mo, dito na ka lang sa baba. Ang nangyayari, there is an increase in CO bond. And then, in return, ang kapalit nung increase in CO bond, nadi-decrease yung CH bond. So, CH bond. Ayan. Decrease. Tapos, kapag reduction naman, kabaliktaran. So, instead of increase, there is a decrease in CO bond. Tapos, in return, there is an increase in CH bond. Ayan. So, yung monosaccharides natin, di ba, it consists of an alcohol and an aldehyde group. Ito. Yung alcohol, that is ROH. Tapos, it will undergo oxidation. So, there is an increase in CO bond. So, and also, a decrease in CH bond. So, matatanggal dito. So, there's a decrease in CH bond. And then, in return, magkakaroon ka ng double bond. Eh, yung double bond na yun would become RC double bond H, which is the general formula for aldehydes. Ayan. Masyadong makapal. Ayan. Magki-cleave dyan, and then magiging C double bond O. Tapos, yung aldehydes mo, it is still capable of undergoing oxidation reactions. So, di-decrease yung CH bond, and then magiging C double bond O. Hindi. Hindi siya, may C double bond O ka na dito. So, mag-i-increase ka pa isa ng CO bond. So, magiging COH na siya, which is the carboxylic acid. Ayan, C, double bond O, tapos OH. So, there is a decrease in CH bond kasi, eto, yung H mo dito, na-break dyan, tapos, pinalitan siya ng OH mo. Usually, I think that is from a water molecule. Yun nanggagaling, yung OH na to. Ayan. Or an alcohol. Pwede rin an alcohol. Ayan. So, nagiging RC double bond O. Yung kanina, dalawang bonds lang ng oxygen, nagiging tatlo na siya, which is this one and eto. So, there is an increase in CO bond. So, kapag reduction naman, ayan, there is a decrease in CO bond. So, pabalik lang siya from aldehydes to alcohol. So, same manner, kapag yung monosaccharides mo, di ba, yung monosaccharides, they are made up of hydroxy groups or alcohol ends and an aldehyde end. So, yung monosaccharide, if you undergo oxidation, can yield three different types of acidic sugars. And yung acidic sugars na to would depend on the type of oxidizing agent used to determine the product. So, ano yung tatlong oxidizing agent na yon? It could be the weak oxidizing agents, strong oxidizing agents, and the enzymes. So, first, we'll try to, differentiate the weak, strong, and the enzymes. So, sa weak oxidizing agents, examples for that one would be the toluenes in the Benedict solutions. So, they are capable in oxidizing the aldehyde end of the aldose. Ito, for example, your D-glucose to give an aldonic acid. So, ito yung acidic sugar na naproproduce, aldonic acid. So, yung oxidation ng aldehyde end ng glucose would produce the gluconic acid. Ito. So, from D-glucose, naging D-gluconic acid siya. And if, for example, galactose naman, yung monosaccharide mo, magiging galactonic acid. So, ito, yung CHO, yung C double bond O, H, naging C double bond O, OH. Ayan. So, it has undergone oxidation. Ayan. With the help of a weak oxidizing agent. So, ayan. Nag-undergo siya ng oxidation. And then, di ba kapag may nag-undergo ng oxidation, of course, the other one would undergo reduction. So, yung weak oxidizing agent mo, this will undergo reduction. Ayan, yung D-glucose, siya yung nag-oxidize. Siya yung nag-undergo ng oxidation process. So, because yung aldoses act as a reducing agent in such reactions, they are called reducing sugars. Remember the term for redox reactions, the Leora and the Geroa. So, kanina, dun sa reaction, yung monosaccharide or yung glucose, siya yung nag-undergo ng oxidation, and then yung weak oxidizing agent mo, siya yung nag-undergo ng reduction. And eto, kung sino nag-undergo ng oxidation, siya yung magiging reducing agent. And then, kung sino yung nag-undergo ng reduction, siya yung oxidizing agent. Kaya yung weak oxidizing agent, siya yung nag-undergo ng reduction. Baliktad yan. Kung sino yung na-oxidize, siya yung magiging reducing agent. Kung sino yung na-reduce, siya yung magiging oxidizing agent. So, yung aldoses, yung glucose, for example, siya yung nag-undergo ng oxidation. So, siya yung reducing agents. And ang tawag sa kanila would be reducing sugars. Yan. So, for example, we have the toluene solution. Ayan, toluene solution as the weak oxidizing agent. Ang ginagawa ni glucose, nire-reduce niya yung Ag plus 2 Ag na lang siya. So, meaning, nag-reduce, siya yung gain ng electron. So, from Ag plus, naging Ag siya. So, gained electron. Ayan, yung Ag. Ito, yung aldehyde. And then, ito, yung toluene solution mo, it contains Ag plus ion. So, after that, magiging aldehyde and then, nare-reduce na lang siya into a silver metal, yung toluene solution. And then, yung Benedict solution naman, ito, yung Cu2 plus ion mo, magiging Cu plus na lang siya. So, nag-gain din ng electron yung Cu2 plus ion mo. Eto. Ayan. So, yung reducing sugar is a carbohydrate that gives a positive test with Tollens and Benedict solution. Meron actually test for this one. Ginagamit siya for medical purposes. For example, it can be used to test the glucose in urine, which is typically used to determine the symptoms of diabetes. So, ang ginagawa doon, if you have seen a pH strip, and paano siya ginagamit, ganon din yung gamit dun sa may Benedict's solution. I'm not really sure with the Tolen solution. Pero ang alam ko sa Benedict solution, ganon siya. Meron kang strip na ginagamit for that. Kasi 'di ba si pH strip, what you do is you get a strip and then you dip it doon sa water sample mo. Tapos, after a while, you leave the strip, tapos after nun, i-match mo siya doon sa color chart. Kung ano yung mag-match na color, siya yung magiging pH mo. Ganon din sa Benedict solution. So, kapag mababa yung glucose concentration mo or wala at all siyang glucose concentration, yung color dun sa color chart mo is color blue. Blue yung magiging result nung kulay nung Benedict solution strip mo. Kapag naman nagkaroon siya ng mataas na what do you call that, glucose concentration, nagiging red yung color niya. Kaya eto, meaning na-oxidize yung glucose mo doon sa may urine with the help of the Benedict's solution. Kaya yung Cu2O mo dito is a brick red solid. Kaya after nung test mo, if meron siyang glucose, nagiging red yung kulay niya. So, from blue, nagiging red siya. So, yun yung application ng oxidation ng glucose that is used to determine glucose concentration sa urine, which is helpful to determine symptoms of diabetes. And then the next oxidizing agent naman is the strong oxidizing agents. This time, since this is so strong, it could be able to oxidize both the both the carbonyl group, usually the aldehyde group, and also the terminal primary alcohol group or the methanol group on the other end of the monosaccharide. So, it would be able to produce dicarboxylic acid or dalawang carboxylic ends. So, ang tawag dun sa polyhydroxy, meaning madaming OH groups, and a dicarboxylic acid, dalawang dicarboxylic end, is called an aldaric acid. So, for example, we have glucose. Ayan. It will be oxidized using a strong oxidizing agent. It will become diglucaric acid. So, yung CHO dito, sa aldehyde, nagiging C double bond OH or a carboxylic group. Ito usually yung ginagawa ng weak oxidizing agents. But this is a bit stronger than the weak. It could also oxidize at the same time yung hydroxy group mo doon sa other end ng monosaccharide. So, from CH2OH or a methanol group or methanol alkyl group, magiging carboxylic acid din siya. So, yun yung ginagawa ng strong oxidizing agents. So, aldaric acid yung acidic sugars na naproproduce. And then, the last one would be the enzymes. Eto, this could be used to oxidize the primary alcohol end of an aldose without oxidation of the aldehyde group, in which it would be able to produce alduronic acid. So, di ba, si weak acid, yung aldehyde group yung na-oxidize. Si strong, both the aldehyde group and the terminal primary alcohol group yung na-oxidize. Si enzymes naman, yun lang alcohol group mo dun sa kabilang end nung monosaccharide. For example, D-glucose, magiging D-glucuronic acid siya after the oxidation using enzymes. Ayan. So, yan yung difference ng 3 oxidizing agents mo and also their products na acidic sugars. And then the next one, next reaction, would be the reduction to produce sugar alcohols. Ayan, the carbonyl group present in a monosaccharide, either an aldose or a ketose, can be reduced to a hydroxyl group using hydrogen as the reducing agent. Remember, kapag reduction, there is a decrease in CO bond and an increase in CH bond. Ayan. So, yung aldehyde group mo, for example, dito sa D-glucose, nare-reduce siya ni hydrogen. Nagiging, terminal, primary alcohol group siya. Just like the other end dito. So, what happens here, ano ba? Yung C double bond O, ayan, C double bond O, tapos H. So, there is a decrease in a double bond. Nasaan na? So, ito. Merong mababreak dyan. So, magiging C, single bond, O siya. Tapos, H. Tapos, ma-attach yung isang H. Magiging, so, itong wavy dito would represent the other parts of the, ayan, monosaccharide mo. Itong nandito sa baba. So, ang pinapakita ko lang is yung nasa end, yung nasa carbon 1. So, C, and then, yung O, tapos, H, hydrogen, and then, hydrogen. And then, pakita ko na lang yung bago. Ayan. So, from H2, yun yung nagiging reducing agent. So, saan papasok yung H2? Dito siya. Ma-attach yan dun sa oxygen. And then, another one here. Hydrogen. Kaya nagiging CH2, CH2, and then OH. Ayan. So, for aldoses and ketoses, the product of the reduction is the corresponding polyhydroxy alcohol, which is sometimes called sugar alcohol. So, wala na siyang carbonyl group. So, purely hydroxy groups lang yung composition niya. Kaya naging polyhydroxy alcohol or sugar alcohol. Kasi yung structure niya, the same with a sugar unit. Ayan. So, from D-glucose, it is called D-glucitol. Yan. Then, third reaction, that is the glycoside formation. Because yung cyclic forms ng mga monosaccharides, they are hemiacetals, meaning meron siyang OH group, OR group, hydrogen, and a carbon attached to that hemiacetal carbon. So, they are able to react with alcohols to form acetals. And acetals, they contain dalawang OR group doon sa carbon niya. So, for example, we have beta-D-glucose. Ayan. Meron siyang OH group. Beta siya. So, meaning, di ba kapag beta, nasa taas siya. Or, other definition, they are on the same side with the exocyclic oxygen. Yung exocyclic, that is the oxygen na hindi kasama doon sa ring mo, which is this one. Yung CH2OH. Usually, this is the where you can see the exocyclic oxygen. So, kapag same side sila, that is the beta configuration. Kapag opposite, alpha siya. So, this time, beta, same side, yung OH and yung CH2OH. So, D-glucose. Tapos, it will undergo a reaction with an alcohol. This is a methanol, CH3OH. Ayan. So, makikita nyo naman yung colors. So, yung OH mo dito, mababreak dito. Tapos, yung CH3OH, dito siya mabe-break. And then, yung OR na to, this is the OR. Ayan. Ayan yung OR. And then, papasok siya dito sa D-glucose mo. So, eto na yung product. That is the OR. And then, yung OH dito na galing dun sa D-glucose mo will react with the hydrogen dun sa methanol, magiging H2O molecule siya. So, this is already a monosaccharide acetal. And ang common name nila is a glycoside. So, this is a glycoside. So, yung mga glycosides, these are formed from a cyclic monosaccharide by the replacement ng hemiacetal carbon mo dito. Yung OH group niya, papalitan mo ng OR group. So, yun yung glycoside. Dun yung process ng formation ng glycoside. So, ayun. Ayun, sinabi ko na pala. Ayan. So, kapag yung glucose, monosaccharide mo is a glucose, like this one, beta-D-glucose, magiging methyl beta-D-glucoside siya. Kapag naman galactose, that is called a galactoside. Ayan. So, take note na yung mga glycosides mo na to is not only limited with the beta conformation. It could also be in the alpha conformation, yung nasa baba. Ang difference lang naman is, yung OR na to, nasa ibaba siya. Dito. Dito yung O tapos CH3. Ganyan. Ganyan siya. Nasa baba lang siya. So, pwedeng alpha, pwedeng beta. So, how do you name glycosides? Just like before, ganun din yung naming mo. Pero, ang nadagdag lang is you name the, alkyl group attached to the oxygen, yung OR. Eto, this is a methyl. Kaya methyl, tapos the same, beta, D, and then instead of the glucose, papalitan mo yung E ng IDE na suffix. So, methyl beta D glucoside. Yun yung nomenclature for glycosides. And then, the fourth one would be the phosphate ester formation. Yung hydroxyl groups of a monosaccharide can react with inorganic acids to form inorganic esters. So, this time, yung inorganic esters na yun is called the phosphate esters. It is formed from phosphoric acid. This is the inorganic oxyacid. Wrong spelling. Ayan. So, reaction between a phosphoric acid and various monosaccharides. Yun yung reaction para maka-form ka ng phosphate esters. The phosphate esters kasi, these are esters derived from alcohols and phosphoric acid. And yung source mo ng alcohol is the monosaccharides. Alam naman natin na meron siyang hydroxy group. So, ang general formation for phosphate esters is R, tapos O, tapos P double bond O, tapos OH, and then dito, OH. Ayan. So, this is the phosphate ester. And yung phosphoric acid, dito na lang. H3PO4. Yun yung chemical formula niya. And then, the lowest structure is P double bond O. Tapos OH. OH dito sa baba. And then, another OH. So, ang nangyayari dito, nakikleave dito sa part na to. Ayan. And then, yun, dun na-attach yung OH mo dun sa may monosaccharide. So, from here, ayan. Ay, hindi. Hindi pala. Yung OH pala na buo. Yung natatanggal. Kasi ang na-attach na is the O, tapos yung P double bond O, tapos dalawang hydroxy group. Ayan. So, dito, na-cleave. Ayan, so OH. And then, this is the major product. Ang minor product mo is, syempre, yung natanggal na OH and then yung H mo dito. So, that's a water molecule. Yun yung byproduct niya. So, for example, specific enzymes in the human body could be able to catalyze the esterification of a hemiacetal group. Ito, yung glucose monosaccharide, cyclic monosaccharide mo doon sa carbon 1 and the primary alcohol group D, carbon 6. Pwedeng ma-esterification, mag-undergo ng esterification yung carbon 1 mo dito, thus producing the alpha D glucose 1 phosphate, eto. And if doon naman sa may carbon 6, yung terminal alcohol group mo doon mabe-break, magiging alpha D glucose 6 phosphate siya. So, the same with nomenclature. Parang ganun din. The difference is you have to add dun sa last part yung carbon number kung saan na-attach yung phosphate group mo. Ayan. And then, ito, 1 phosphate, dito, 6 phosphate. So, yung phosphate esters of glucose are stable in aqueous solution and play important roles in the metabolism of carbohydrates. Ganun lang sa phosphate ester formation. And then the last reaction, that is the amino sugar formation. So if one of the hydroxyl groups of a monosaccharide is replaced with an amino group, an amino sugar is produced. Remember, amino group is NH2. Amino group, dito na lang. Ayan. NH2. So, yung buong isang hydroxyl group mo from dito, ayan, papalitan mo yan ng NH2. So, instead of D-glucose, papalitan mo din yung suffix ng OSE, magiging amin siya to indicate na meron kang amino group doon. So, magiging D-glucosamine for D-glucose. And then D-galactosamine for D-galactose. And then lastly, D-manosamine for D-mannose. Yan. So, in naturally occurring amino acids, of which there are 3 common ones, ito yung 3 common amino sugars. The amino group replaces the carbon 2 hydroxyl group. So, particularly on the second carbon siya. So, this is C1. Ito yung C2. So, lahat-lahat, yung OH group attached to the C2 or the second carbon, doon papalitan ng amino group. So, amino sugars, they also have their N-acetyl derivatives, and both of them are important building blocks of polysaccharides found in chitin and hyaluronic acid, which are examples of polysaccharides, and then madidiscuss to mamaya doon sa may polysaccharide section. Yung N-acetyl kasi, eto siya. Ayan. So, papalitan nung isang H mo doon sa amino group yung N-acetyl. This is the N-acetyl. This is actually derived from acetic acid. Acetic acid is a carboxylic acid na yung alkyl group is a methyl group. Sulat ko na lang. Acetic acid. CH3. Tapos, C, double bond O, OH. Ayan. So, magiging N-acetyl siya. Magiging CH3, C, double bond O, tapos, ayan. Mabe-break dito. And then, papalitan niya yung isang hydrogen. So, hydrogen plus OH, another byproduct is a water molecule. So, ito yung N-acetyl. Dadagdag mo lang siya. Nomenclature, Dadagdag lang mo lang siya dun sa harap. N-acetyl alpha D-glucosamine and N-acetyl alpha D-galactosamine. Yan. So that's the last reaction for monosaccharide derivatives. So in the next video, that would be the disaccharides and the polysaccharides.